day. In today's lesson, we will be dealing with modal verbs. So what are modal verbs? When we say modal verbs, these are also called as modal auxiliaries. So these are helping verbs that expresses modalities such as ability, possibility, permission, request, advisability, obligation, and necessity. To help you understand this, let's know the function of each modal verb. The modal verb can expresses ability in the present. Example, Kevin can speak several languages. So since we use the modal verb can, this only means that up to the present, Kevin still has the ability to speak several languages. Another example, she can run as fast as you, and he can afford to buy you a diamond ring. So those examples express a modality which is ability in the present. Take note as well that after a modal verb, we have the main verb and it is always in the base form of verb, meaning it doesn't have S at the end of the verb. Look at our given statements. Those in color blue, they are the main verbs and they don't end in S. Next modal verb is could. It expresses ability in the past. Example, Koji could read without eyeglasses last year. So since we have the modal verb could, this sentence only means that Koji cannot read now without wearing his eyeglasses. Another thing that will help you determine if the ability is in the past is through the time expression, which is in this sentence is the phrase last year. Another example, Gian could drive a car before. So it only means that Gian could no longer drive today because of the modal verb could and the time expression which is the word before. Next example, Julia could ski like a pro by the age of 11. Using the modal verb could, what does this sentence mean? It only means that she could ski like a pro when she's 11, but not anymore. Next is the modal verb may. It expresses permission and possibility in the present. Example, Jasmine may dance tonight. Now having the modal verb may, what do you think it expresses? Okay, so it expresses possibility. So there's a possibility that Jasmine will dance tonight or not. Next example, Daniela may be at home or perhaps at work. So this modal verb expresses a possibility as well, because it's possible that Daniela may be at home or may be in her work. How about in the last example? You may leave the table when you have finished your dinner. So what modality does it express? Is it permission or possibility? Okay, very good. So this one expresses a permission. Next modal verb is might. It expresses suggestion. So if you want to sound more polite, you may use this. And might also expresses possibility but is less likely than may. Meaning, if you will use this, you are saying that there's a small possibility that this thing will happen. Example, they say there might be a rain tomorrow, but I doubt it. So since we use might, it means that there's a possibility that it will rain tomorrow, but the chance is very low. Next example, you might try my cheesecake. Here, the modal verb expresses the modality of a polite suggestion. Next is the modal verb will. It expresses determination and future action. Example, we will plan despite the rain. Here, the modal verb will expresses determination because they will still plan even though it's raining. Next example, they will go to Batangas tomorrow morning. Here, the modal verb will expresses a future action. One thing that will also help you to confirm it is through the time expressions used such as tomorrow morning. Next is the modal verb would. It expresses polite request, offer, and is used in if sentences. Example, I would like a cup of coffee. This statement expresses a polite request. Another example, would you like a cup of tea? This one expresses a polite offer. Take note as well that you can use the modal verb would in expressing conditional sentences such as in our example, which is, if I were you, I would ask for apology. Next is the modal verb shall. It expresses suggestion, offer, and future tense, obligation in formal writing or spoken language. Example, shall I get a pizza for dinner tonight? Notice here that the modal verb shall expresses a suggestion. The persona is suggesting if he or she could get them a pizza as their dinner. Next example, that bag looks heavy. Shall I carry it for you? In this statement, it expresses offer. Next example, I shall return her books tomorrow. This statement expresses future action because the word shall shows future tense, and also through the time expression used, which is the word tomorrow. Next example, no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Here, the modality expressed by the modal verb is obligation and usually in formal form. Shall is usually used in legal documents such as Philippine Constitution, the laws, and etc. From the above examples, we can say that this modal verb expresses variety of modality. Depends upon the context or details provided in the entire statement. Next is the modal verb should. It expresses obligation and advice. So earlier, I have mentioned that shall expresses obligation as well. The difference between them is that we commonly use shall for formal setting, while the modal verb should can be used in an informal setting or less formal context. Example, students should submit their projects on time. So here, it expresses the modality which is obligation. While in the second example, which is, you should see the doctor for your follow-up check-up, it expresses an advice. Last modal verb for the day is the must. It expresses necessity. Example, one must eat to live. So this one expresses necessity because we all know that a person cannot survive without eating food. Another example, you must decide now before it's too late. The modal verb must expresses necessity as well, something that is badly need to do whatever it takes. So that's the end of our discussion for today. Thank you.